Hi guys, Vino here and welcome to this Vino Plunk production, and in this video we are going to be talking about what's on the table right now. More specifically, we're going to be talking about the company behind these games, which is Grimlord Games. I'm going to be talking about a more in-depth I'm going to be talking more in depth about Everrain in its own separate video, and Enjoy the Stars in its own separate video down the road. If you see me looking at my watch, by the way, I've actually got the viewfinder for the camera on at the moment, and I have a laptop to my right at the moment where I have the information I'm going to be relaying to you guys in this video. And of course I have a bottle of Coke in case I get thirsty, and because I've had a massive craving for that for 48 hours. So bottle of Coke on the left hand side. So basically what happened is earlier this year Grimlord Games filed for bankruptcy, basically. And even before Grimlord Games filed for bankruptcy, there were some issues with fulfilling the Everrain. I do believe Enjoy the Stars was perfectly fine when it came to it being fulfilled and that kind of stuff, but when it comes to the Everrain, there were some big issues when it came to a lot of things. I've recently acquired, what do we call it, Everrain, so of course I'm now invested in what happens. It looks like I managed to get the correct version of Everrain. I'll be looking at that in this video. But one of the things that has happened is people have received the German version of the game where they should have received the English version. They haven't got some of the Kickstarter exclusives like these neoprene mats. So there's neoprene mats for each of the ships in the game. There's a neoprene mat for the actual game board itself. If I open up the box, this is a big one. It's going to take a while to It's going to take a while to get that open. It's got a really nice texture on the top, almost like it's a map or something, which is actually quite fitting for the game itself. But if we open it up, my, is this. There we go. So we'll put the top to one side. There's the whoa, and it slips out. Of course it does while on camera, but I think that's the game board, which I don't need. And there's all the tokens, which at some point I will pop out, but not for now. So the main thing I want to look at in here is, yes, it's all in English. So I do have the English rule book, so that's nice for me, not nice for other people, but that's why I'm doing this video. I suppose it's a little mini unboxing as well. We do have the little ship cards, but I do believe the neoprene mats include these. I think, I'm not quite sure, and all of the miniatures, which look absolutely wonderful, including the big bad themselves. I'm not going to get these all out because they'll go all over the place. But yeah, all of the miniatures. If I tilt up like that, I know it's upside down for you guys, but that's all the miniatures in there. But luckily, as I said, I managed to get an English version of the set, and I did think the person I bought this off of would have said something had it not been English. However, there are people out there who've received the German version of the game, or they haven't received these neoprene mats, which is part of the Kickstarter exclusive or stretch goals, and overall it's not been a terribly good experience for them. So I'm just going to make sure I put this back on the right way round, that way round. There we go. There we are. So there have been a myriad of issues when it comes to fulfilling Everrain. There are people who haven't even received their copy of the game yet. There are people in different territories that have received different territories versions. I believe there are people that have received other backers' copies of the game rather than their own copy of the game. It's been a whole disaster. Well, on the 16th of October this year, a person by the name of Travis Gray put onto the Everrain Facebook group that his company, a TTRPG publisher known as Scoundrel Games Lab, has purchased the IP rights and remaining stock of Liquidators from Grimlord Games. So basically what that means is when you file for bankruptcy in the UK, an administrator gets assigned to the case, essentially. And all your assets get liquidated. Those assets are then sold off, and the first thing that happens is any debt that needs to be covered gets covered, and all the creditors you've got lined up basically line up in terms of whoever the highest creditor is first, the most debt that you owe to that particular person, and it goes along. They're not going to necessarily get all of their money or their investment. That's just how things work in the UK, and Grimlord Games is a UK company. So obviously they had to sell the rights, the assets, the IP and all that kind of stuff to Grimlord Games. The very first thing that Travis Gray said he was going to do was look at getting all of the orders fulfilled that he can get fulfilled. After that, he's going to look into what else he can do. Part of the issue, he can't get access to additional stock. He can only get access to what is already available at the moment. So he can't request there'll be more printings of mats or more board games. He can only give out what's already there at the moment. That's what I understand from the updates he's been putting on the Facebook page and on the Kickstarter. He has also been putting updates on the Kickstarter as well, because he has access to the Kickstarter. However, he doesn't have complete access to the Kickstarter. He actually doesn't have names on all of the backers. No, he has names of the backers. He doesn't have access to their accounts, or the back end of their accounts. So he doesn't know what they ordered, how they ordered it, and all that kind of stuff, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. But I'm guessing as time goes on, that's going to be a process that he'll have to get involved with to get all of those details and what have you to him, so he can access to all the information he needs to get access to. One of the main reasons I'm doing this video is I'm fortunate enough to have bought this off of somebody who got the correct version, got all of the stretch goals that they should have gotten, some additional dice, ivory sword, and the bitter ends, some just additional dice for the game. I think I got most, if not all, of the little expansions that you can get for the game. I think there's another one somewhere that I keep misplacing. I've got Seafarer, I've got Undertow of Madness, and I've got Twilight Flood, and I think I've got 2 or 3. There's another one of these somewhere that's sort of floating around. But I keep finding here and there that need to, when I actually find it next, need to make sure it goes in amongst this stuff. So yeah, I managed to get everything that I'm owed, and obviously I'm now invested in where this takes us. One of the main things for those that even did get the complete set is this is the neoprene map, which is the board basically, which I think I've got that upside down, so I'll put it that way around. Very nice high quality mats. However, it's off. What I mean by it's off is when you put the tiles from the game onto this neoprene mat, it doesn't line up properly. A subtle oversight, you could say. Some people would say it's not necessarily that big of a deal. However, Travis Gray has said that if he can, he will look at getting the mats reprinted and reissued out to backers at some point down the line. I'm not sure if there is an issue with these mats, but there might be. There might be an issue with those mats. They do look a little bit hazy, so the printing isn't necessarily the best. But there are the way Travis Gray is looking at it is all of this sort of stuff is extra. Okay, these are Kickstarter extras. Yes, okay, people paid for those Kickstarter extras, but they're extras. It's the game itself. So if we move all of this to one side, it's the game itself. He's focusing on getting the actual game itself to people who have backed the game and haven't gotten the game. Reading his updates on the Facebook Marketplace marketplace, the Facebook group page, and reading his interaction with supporters and fans and just the community in general, and reading through the updates he's put on the Kickstarter page, I'm quite excited that he's going to be able to sort this all out. For me personally, I'm looking at this from a selfless point of view, and that I want the people who haven't had their game or the proper version of the game to get their proper version of the game. So I wanted to make this video in the hope that somebody who maybe have backed Everrain, maybe interested in Everrain, can hear about this and maybe share it along, all that kind of stuff, and know that seems to be in good hands. Obviously, it's still early days. It's only a couple months since the acquisition, and he hasn't got full access to everything. So it's going to be an ongoing process. He has said if he can, this is a massive if he can, he will be looking to maybe reproduce the game for it to go to retail. That was the original plan, which is why these come in such, fancy boxes, because they did intend to go to retail back in the day. It just never came to fruition. The other thing, and this is a big thing when it comes to Everrain, the rules are very ambiguous when it comes to excuse me, when it comes to Everrain, and he understands that, and the community has been putting together a list of outcomes that may happen during the game, and they're building FAQ. For those of you that know Bloodborne, the board game, when that first came out, there was a lot of ambiguity around those rules, and the community, along with the publisher for the game originally, have come up with a massive FAQ on the Bloodborne website, basically detailing all of the different outcomes. It's a massive FAQ, and it solves all the ambiguity for the game. So if you don't like ambiguity in your board game, then you can just go to that site, print off, or have that FAQ to one side, and then all the ambiguity is done, all that kind of stuff. There is another board game that people have been speaking about that I actually can't remember the name of right now this very moment, but there is another board game that seems to have suffered a similar fate to Everrain. I think it's even in an even worse state, in which much more people haven't received their copy. It seems to be quite rare, so to speak, in the wild. I don't know what his plans with that are. I'm sure in due course he will update people. You can join the Everrain Facebook group. It is a private group. I think there's a question or two you've got to ask before you have access, but they're pretty easy questions. If you Google the Everrain and look at the Kickstarter page, or if you look at anything to do with Everrain, you'll quickly work out what the answers to the questions are. The other thing I want to speak about is Endure the Stars, because people have spoken about Endure the Stars. Yes, I'm going to cover up my face for now. The reason why I bring up Endure the Stars is because people have asked about this, and asked if there's any updates to do with Endure the Stars. This is the 1.5 version, which obviously is an addendum, so to speak, or an update from the 1.0 version. As of this moment in time, Travis does not have any plans for Endure the Stars, because that has a fully completed, fully backed, fully fulfilled Kickstarter as far as he's aware, and there's nobody out there that hasn't received the game. And I do believe Endure the Stars is also available on retail. I think I have seen it on some sites somewhere to buy. So there is that when it comes to Endure the Stars. He's not touching any of the board games the Grimlord games have released and have been backed, fulfilled, all that kind of stuff. He's focused on the ones that haven't, like the Everrain. So I just wanted to do this video in my new setup. What do you think, guys? Just to sort of let you guys know what's happening about Grimlord games now being taken, not the company itself, but the liquidated assets from that and the IP and what have you, taken over by Scoundrel Games Labs, and what the future is. I will be reporting on this going forward, because I actually think it's really interesting, and I think board game Kickstarters in general are very much something that I may want to get into reporting on, because there's a lot of scams out there, to be honest with you, and there's also a lot of people that don't necessarily understand the undertaking or the undertow when it comes to having to fulfill a board game Kickstarter. So there is all that. Anyway, I've rambled on enough for the video. You get the gist of it. But until next time, please take care, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day. Cheerio, guys.